Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest installment of the Off the Charts webinar series, Off the Charts by Chartmetric, I should say. My name is Mike Warner. I am the Director of Artist Label and DSP Relations here at Chartmetric. And I'm just going to take a quick look at the chat as I can see people starting to come in and join us right now. Let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from and what you're excited to see in this webinar. I can see a few comments here right now actually asking if the webinar is starting. Yes, we did start a minute late. I apologize, but we are here. So let us know where you're tuning in from and what you're excited to see. We've got a number of people from the team who will be joining us today. We've got Umang, Jason, Rutger, Sung, Michelle, Kevin, and we also have a very special guest, Francisco Toscano from Sony Music Mexico as well. So just having a look to see where you're from. We've got NYC, Romania, Copenhagen, Chicago, LA, NYC, Arlington, Jackson, New York, Berlin. All right. We've got a lot of people in the room right now. Awesome. That being said, keep the conversation flowing in the comments. We do have a Q&A coming up at the end of this as well. So there will be time for us to answer your questions and take your questions. And we will be bringing on a number of people from the team for that as well. These comments are going crazy. Thank you. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hand it over to Umang, who is going to be getting tongue-tied. Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to hand it over to Umang, who is going to go over some recent updates and new product features in detail. So let me just bring up Umang.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so as Mike mentioned, I am going to talk about some new features. Some of these were released a few months ago as well, but just, yeah, overall. And if you want to share my screen, Mike, as well. Cool. Awesome. So yeah, starting with an effort that we made about a year ago was to start increasing the scale of the number of artists, tracks, albums, everything that we track. So around this time last year, we were only tracking 2.8 million artists. Today, we are actually tracking 7.3 million of them. Similarly, for tracks, we went from 22 million all the way to 67 million tracks. And for albums, we went from 7 million to 19 million plus albums. And we're actually very close to hitting 20 million soon as well. Next, for Spotify playlists, we actually hit 10.7 million, well, 10.65 million very recently. So we just passed that. This time last year, we were only tracking 1.5 million. So a lot of that came from indie playlists. So we have been tracking more of those over time, over the past 12 months. And some other questions that we also get are about how often we actually update the artists and the playlists and the tracks. So for artists, we actually update almost close to 1 million artists every day now. This didn't used to be the case about a year ago, but now, yeah, we update 1 million of them. And we also update all of them every 10 days. So getting new stats, getting new tracks for the artists, like top cities, all kinds of data. For Spotify tracks, we get 7 million plus stream counts every day. And for playlists, we update about 1 million of them every day as well. So with many top playlists, for example, like many of the ones that you can see on the screen right now, like today's top hits and others, we actually update them hourly, just so we're constantly on top of it. Another data point that I want to mention was that we now update over 2 million YouTube videos every day. So for example, you can see that for the Weeknd's Blinding Lights, yeah, we are getting almost daily updates, especially recently. And this is available across 2 million other videos as well. So yeah, next I wanted to talk about the new images. So this is a new data source that we have started using. And yeah, we are getting better, like nicer looking pictures from the new data source. And you can see them for almost around 40,000 artists in total. The next I wanted to talk about was the Spotify artists and track charts that we have started working on from Chartmetric ourselves. So this was based on the increased data collection that I just talked about. So for example, for monthly top artists, we can now chart them by followers. We can chart them by popularity. We can also chart them by playlist count. So we can see who increased the most in recent time as well. And similarly for tracks, we can also see it for playlist reach and playlist count. And yeah, lots of tracks here. And we can similarly do it for monthly and all time as well. So as you may be familiar, we had the Chartmetric artist rank, formerly known as CPP, for a while. But recently, we started having another way to look at the data, and that was from the raw score. We made that live a few weeks ago. And so as an example here, for Taylor Swift, we can see that she had releases in November, as well as an SNL appearance in November. And that caused her rank to jump from like almost 10 to all the way to the top. And now when we switch the score, we can also see that from a different perspective and see what a dramatic increase that really was. So that's just one of the new ways that we're trying to see how well artists are doing. Next, I wanted to move on to the TikTok section. So specifically for TikTok, we are now updating hundreds of thousands of sounds every day, along with 1 million users every day. And all of this combined, we can update, we get 10 million videos or post counts, as they're called on TikTok, directly every single day. We prioritize these by user followed and fastest growing sounds and users. So yeah. And for example, on the TikTok top track section, you can see the top videos for this particular track. Picking another one from Inception, you can see all these tracks, all these posts that were made for this track. And then below, we have the TikTok top influencer section, where we can see the top users on TikTok who have posted with music for Olivia Rodrigo, for example. And then just straight from there, we can jump to the track as well. Later this week, we are also launching a new email report for TikTok specifically, focused specifically on TikTok insights, which is based on the user and track data and how it's performing on TikTok. So stay tuned for that. Next, I wanted to move on to milestones and the news section. So with milestones, what we really wanted to do was to highlight the most important or the most growing parts for the artist. So for example, here we can see the TikTok for Taylor Swift, where she was featured in top users posts. She also reached Spotify popularity. And if we switch to different frequencies, we can also see some other types of milestones, such as she was in her tracks were in the top charts in different countries. And then even switching to even higher frequency, we can see some other ones as well. Yeah. And then we have, and the news mentions features was something we worked on early last year, where we tracked close to 60 data sources, 60 news websites, and we use named entity recognition to detect when an artist is mentioned in the article and in the headline, and from there we can directly show these on the artist page as well. These are available for all top artists, and if you ever want us to start tracking a new website or news source, you can always just send us the RSS feed, and it's very easy for us to start tracking that. So this was something that customers have asked about for a while. In the audience section, there is the brands feature, where we can see Ed Sheeran's audience and what the audience is in, what brands the audience is interested in. So for example, HBO and Disney. Customers have asked us about how we can see this data from the other perspective. So here, as an example, for the Walt Disney brand, we can see the top artists whose audience are very interested in Disney. Another example, for Marvel specifically, we can see the artists whose audiences are interested in Marvel. So this is available directly on the top, right on the brands page, and we have a whole group. Many brands are supported right from here. And the last major feature that I wanted to touch on was the artist filters feature. This was a significant work across the engineering team, from the product team as well as the data team, to get it working super fast. And now we can do it essentially in real time, just looking at different filters. So here I've selected Canadian artists with the pop genre, who have followers less than 57 million. I think I had selected. Yeah, and for TikTok, I had just selected the bare basics, so just that they were active on TikTok. So this filters down to 5 artists. And here is another filter that I was just playing around with before. So like solo artists, followers on Instagram just until 65 million, and then Twitch views, which is another platform that we have been tracking. And what this lets us do is that it makes it easy to just save it, and then we can come back to it pretty easily. So if I refresh the page, now I should be able to just switch to that preset right there. Oops. But yeah, those were some of the features that I wanted to talk about today. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Umang. And next up, I'm going to bring up Jason and Rotger from the team. And then they're going to introduce our special guest for today as well. So let me just welcome Jason. Welcome, Rutger.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Mike. Hi, Rutger.
Hey, guys.
I'm going to let you guys take the stage, and I will jump behind the controls.
Thank you, sir. Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. Ruck and I are here to talk with a really awesome friend of the company, who we will introduce in a second. For those of you who may listen to the podcast, How Music Charts, that Ruck and I have produced, we're bringing that over to here on this live stream, bringing on just as cool guests as we had before in the podcast, but in more in a live kind of setting, which I think is going to be really cool. Without further ado, our guest today is Francisco Toscano. Francisco needs no introduction. For those of us around here at the company. He was recently hanging out with a lot of us in Austin, Texas at South by Southwest. But for those who might not know Francisco yet, he's an A&R research lead for a major label based in and from the great city of Ciudad de Mexico, and has a background in financial services. He holds an MBA from ESADE in Barcelona, Spain, and a master's in music business at New York University. So, hey, Francisco, how's it going?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me in your live stream.
Of course. It's a pleasure to have you. So for those who aren't aware, Francisco wrote a series of articles for the Chartmetric company blog, which were awesome. They were mostly in the first half of 2021. If you haven't checked out and Latin music is your thing, please feel free to check it out. It's in English and in Spanish, if you prefer reading in Spanish. But it's about a lot of things. It's about regional Mexican music. It's about the rise of music coming from Colombia. And then finally kind of like a mix of so many different types of genres originating from the Latin American region and kind of like making their way into the world. It's an awesome bunch of reads. It continue to be some of the best kind of performing articles on our blog total. So just want to say another thank you, Francisco, for doing those for us earlier.
Thanks to you guys. It was really exciting to do that with you.
So we want to start off talking about, we had a pre-chat last week. And if you remember, we talked about a type of music. Well, you talked about this type of music, and you were kind of educating us about this rise of a new genre happening in Argentina. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, as you know, one of the main things that an A&R researcher does is try to catch what's happening on the market, on the underground, even before it really hits the mainstream. And we've seen interesting developments in South America, to be more specific, in Argentina. For those who have been able to read the articles, on the third article, we speak about hybrid music genres. And one of them is cumbia pop or cumbia cheta. And now there's another musical current that it's emerging, that it's a derivative from that, because the pop component of this mix is taken out. And then this genre, which is called turreo, which really comes from the street from Argentina, mixes hip hop, cumbia sonidera sounds, which is cumbia with electronic sounds, synthesizers and stuff like that, and hip hop and reggaeton beats. And there's a huge movement happening there. There are several artists that have made headways on the charts all over Latin America, and in the US Latin market, as such as Caleb Dimasi, but there's a ton of artists that are making noise. So I think that's one of the next big musical movements that we're going to see in the Latin music in the urban sphere. And it's really interesting because I was telling you guys in the prep call that we had last week that I feel when I look at these artists and the magnitude of the movement, I feel a little bit like what I felt when I saw the trap movement come from Argentina in 2018 and the first half of 2019. We have a big stars coming from that movement, such as Paulo Londra, Kea, Duki, and at the end tail of that, even Nicky Nicole. So let's see what's going to happen. There's only a couple of artists that have really gotten out of Argentina and Uruguay, but I'm expecting to see more surprises there in the future. And it's exciting to see that happen.
So one of the reasons I know you must be really amazing at your job, Francisco, is when I Googled Tureo, there were no articles about it. It was all YouTube videos, like DJ mixes. It was all like straight from, the music world, which I think is super cool. I think maybe I saw one article and an Ecuadorian periodical. So you're on the bleeding edge, sir. Can we actually look into Caleb Dimasi? Because you mentioned him and I was looking at some of his
of course.
Some of his stats. Mike, do you mind bringing up my screen real quick? Can you tell us a little bit more about Caleb Dimasi? Just maybe a bit of a kind of an overview for those of us who want.
Yes, he started as a music producer for urban music and a DJ in Argentina, and but then, as it usually happens with urban stars, especially in the Latin world, I'm sure it happens also in the Anglo world and in other geographies as well. And many of them, when they attain a sufficient amount of fame and notoriety, they try to migrate into the artist side. Not all of them succeed, that's important to say. But he had something to bring to the table, which was his flow. He has a really good flow when he's freestyling in Spanish, and he has a really deep voice tone, which is very characteristic, which is also another thing that really helps an artist to stand out, to have a unique personality. And then it started happening for him. The very first hit that I saw from him was last year with Turraca, and then he made a remix with Turraca Remix. Then he made Matatan, which went crazy all over the continent and in the US Latin market. And then at the end of, during December, because, in Argentina, during that time, it's summer for them. So he launched this track that it's like a mix between Turreo and Guaracha Electronica, which is also another hybrid genre that we spoke about on the series of articles that we did together. And he mixes it, so it gives Turreo like a feel of Pepas a little bit, and it was a huge hit, and it's called Hace Calor. So I think he's in his way to become a big star, but I'm also sure that he's not going to be the only one doing this kind of music, and we're going to be listening for more artists in the future doing this kind of stuff.
Wow, 27 million Spotify streams for Hace Calor.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Cool. Let me pass it off because I know we got a couple of things we want to touch upon. Rucker, do you want to talk a little bit about the next topic?
Yeah, sure. Actually, really quickly on this, Caleb Dimasi actually showed up in our 6MO report, the last one, with Matatan. I think it was the most Shazam counts, global Shazam counts. So before we go on to the next topic, actually, do you want to talk a little bit about what you've noticed in terms of the relationship between TikTok and Shazam and Spotify?
Of course. One of the things in the industry, and I'm sure both on the industry side as well as on the artist side, is to try to crack the code for TikTok. And try to become viral on TikTok, because TikTok, since the pandemic started, suddenly became the biggest tool for music discovery for many people. However, in order to make sure that an artist is going to actually build a viable career, you need to make sure that your virality is not restricted to TikTok. It has to migrate to different platforms and different ecosystems. And I've noticed since, and this is, I want to be very clear, this is happening at the time the pandemic started. We need to see that a track that is becoming viral on TikTok is also becoming viral on Shazam. Because that signals an interest from the people to know which is actually the music that they're listening to, and then they may go there to either YouTube or Apple Music or Spotify to consume it, to put it on their playlists. So that's a very good indicator when you see something that is following this path of popularity and virality. It's a good sign, and it's a promising sign.
Yeah, and that's exactly
what becomes viral on TikTok actually migrates to other platforms.
Yeah, and that's what happened with Marathon. It went viral on TikTok, then Shazam, and then the Spotify charts. Cool. So another genre that you mentioned, and you don't have to mention artist names for this, was bedroom pop. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, this is not as new. I mean, the bedroom pop movement is not as new as Turreo. It's been there for a while already, but I think this one really started in the Anglo world, in my view, and this migrated to the Latin world later. However, I think I'm seeing gaining momentum both in the Anglo world and in the Latin world. I see bedroom pop getting more traction lately, not with the big numbers that we've seen for Turreo or with reggaeton, but it's growing steadily and surely, which is also very good, because it's signaling that the movement is growing organically, that it's not going to go away soon. That is also another very good thing for catalog longevity, in order for the labels to try to plan with which artists they're trying to work with. And I think that's also a very exciting movement. And it's becoming so widespread, especially amongst the Gen Z audience, that bedroom pop is getting mixed with other genres, such as regional Mexican, which is a genre that we've also spoken about in the past. Sat Sierreño, I think, is a good example. Sat Sierreño, it's the mix between trap corrido, which is a mix between corridos and trap. And you put bedroom pop in the mix and a little bit of sadness, and then you have the kind of new artists that are making noise in the market today. And you see that also in other fusions. I've seen a couple of that influences also with older, more traditional music genres, such as bolero, for instance, in the Latin world. I've seen a little bit of mix of bedroom pop and bolero, and in a way, they're bringing back to life this kind of old music genres that our grandparents, not even our parents, our grandparents used to listen to. And by putting bedroom pop in the mix, they update the sound, and it makes it feel current without losing its essence. I think that's one of the main things and very exciting things that bedroom pop is doing. It's updating the older music genres without making them lose their soul, if you will.
One of the things I really love about your work, Francisco, is you're a musician yourself. For those who may not know, he has a beautiful voice. I hope you don't mind me putting that out there, Francisco.
I try.
But I think, do you have a take on kind of why bedroom pop became what it was, started to become a few years ago? Because, I think that's rather maybe unseen before in the music scene, maybe in the singer-songwriter era, maybe a few decades ago. But I'm just kind of curious if you had any take on like the softer, more cultural reasons on why that became a thing.
I do have my theory that I don't claim it to be true, but probably there's a little bit of that. I think it's both a product of cultural factors, such as the Gen Z view of the world. It's no secret that the sad mood in music, it's pervasive amongst all of the music genres. You see that in trap, you see that in rap, you see that in pop, you see that in even punk with the newer artists such as Olivia Rodrigo and all these kind of artists that put like sadness into punk pop back. But also I think it's also a product of technology. One of the main things that are happening now that didn't happen in the past is that pretty much anyone who wants to make music can do it in their bedroom. There's a very big current, an underground current of numerous artists doing music in their bedrooms just with a computer, with a keyboard, and and other kinds of electronic gear. And the movement of people doing music in their bedrooms became so big that it became also a sonic aesthetic, if you will. Because the technology used, the amount of resources that you have in a bedroom also shapes the sound of the type of music that comes from the bedrooms of the newer music producers. And it happens that many of the Gen Z music producers now are happening to be making music in their bedroom, especially during the pandemic. So I think it was a mix of what happened during the pandemic, people being secluded in their homes, and what do I do now with my free time? This pessimistic and melancholic view of the world that the Gen Z generation overall has. And then this availability of technology to do music in your bedroom, because for past generations, as you know, you needed to get a record label, you needed to go into the music studio, get a producer. That's expensive. And there's a lot of those barriers to entry that have pretty much blurred. So I think it's a product of many things coming together, and that also why explains it has happened gradually and not suddenly, if you will.
And then last but not least, you are well into the blockchain world from what I know. So
yes.
Instead of asking you a blanket question about NFTs or DAOs or something like that, do you see how anything related to blockchain, whether it be a badge or token or NFTs or any one of those different manifestations of that world, do you see that coming into your work day to day as an A&R executive?
I'm trying to figure that out, to be honest.
Okay.
Because for now, it seems that it's going to be more focused on the marketing side and on the fidelization and monetization of superfans. That's for sure going to be coming very soon, especially when we speak about about the things that are called the utility NFTs. And for those who are not versed in NFTs, a utility NFT, it's an NFT that has attached benefits on the real world, such as, okay, you buy the NFT, but then if you buy it, you get a hoodie with your QR code embroidered, or you get a VIP pass to a concert, or you get a special edition of a vinyl, you name it. You can tie different benefits to the NFT that you acquire. So people hold on to it and they use it, and then you can even use like a symbol of belonging to a fan group. I've even heard that some artists are using the NFTs that they sell as a pass of entry to to Telegram channels in which they can communicate directly with their favorite artist. However, in the future, I think it's going to become more common, because offering this kind of assets in the launch of music in the future, and not far in the future, is going to become a norm. I mean, the assets that you have to include now when you launch music is, of course, the song, the music video, the photographs, and now you're going to have to include into this whole strategy an NFT, and also think on what's going to be the value-added proposition that you're going to offer to people, so they are also willing to buy an NFT as a music fan. So I think it's the start of a big revolution, not only in A&R, not only marketing, but in many ways of our current life. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I don't really know. We're very early stages on this revolution, and let's talk in 5 years and see where we are.
We'll see. All right. Thank you, Francisco. Anyone, if you have a question for Francisco about A&R, about Latin music, about blockchain, Web3, he's around. Francisco, you don't have to, but if you want, do you want to share a way for people to say hi to you?
Yeah, of course. Probably you can follow me on Twitter. My handle is FCO Toscano, or also you can search for me on LinkedIn, and we can chat there as well. my handle is very similar on Instagram. So just look me up on social media, and you'll find me. And I have also a webpage, which is franciscotoscano.com, that I'm going to redesign. But there you can find links to my social media as well, with the exception of my LinkedIn. But I will update that soon as well.
Cool. Francisco, if you can stick around backstage for a few minutes, some people might want to have some questions for you in the Q&A.
Awesome. Yes, I'll be here.
Appreciate it, sir. But thanks for being here. Good seeing you virtually. I hope to see you again soon in person.
Hopefully.
Thanks, Francisco.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, Mike.
Thank you so much, Francisco, and Jason and Rutger for hosting as well. And Francisco, when you get a chance, check out the comments. There is a lot of love for you, my friend. People saying they could listen to you all day. So I very happily was linking them to the articles in the chat. But yes, appreciate you sticking around. If anyone does have any questions for Francisco or anyone else from our team as well, leave them in the comments and we'll start bringing people up during the Q&A. I'm going to put you guys back into the green room right now. Don't have too much fun without me. Okay, and next up, I'm going to bring Kevin up, who is going to be doing a product overview for all of you, a very quick product overview, which I'm looking forward to as well. And so, Kevin, just wanted to check if you've got your screen ready to share.
Absolutely.
All right, excellent. If you could just jump to the first tab, perfect. Let me just plug that in for you right now. And Kevin, I'm going to jump off and I'm going to let you have the stage.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. So I wanted to expound upon Umang's product overview around a feature that I'm extremely excited. Well, not just excited about. Anybody that knows me, this is the one feature that I always send our new customers to. Anyone that meets Chartmetric for the first time, I always like to show this off because I think it's one of the most powerful things that Chartmetric has, which was formerly the CPP, but now the artist rank. So any of us that have been in the business for a while, doing any kind of sales or marketing behind the scenes, it was. Before Spotify came along, it was really just a matter of pulling Excel spreadsheets, and a lot of what Song, our founder and CEO, that was the challenge he wanted to face head on, and it was just this ridiculous amount of spreadsheets from radio reports to even traditional sales, and so all that we were trying to do was try to figure out the causality of the marketing and sales activities that we were doing in the marketplace. And so the CPP, now artist rank, does that without any manual manipulation. And it's pretty powerful. So I wanted to take an artist that a lot of us probably are familiar with. And if you're not, you should be, because they're pretty awesome. It's an artist called Wet Leg that I have to admit I'm a huge fan of, and so I'm kind of taking that passion and digging a little deeper on the artist rank. And so, as you know, if you come to any artist's page, you can navigate over to the artist rank. And I just wanted to blow this out and just kind of give you a little context about Wet Leg and how that really exemplifies how powerful this is. So these guys started off, they became a band, I think it was early 2021, if not 2020, but they hit the ground running. They clearly had a backstory. They were, had a lot of marketing heading into their release. And so this release, based on, if you go up here to events, you can click on what you want to see. But if we click on release, you can see that things started happening really fast. And I mean, that's an amazing, we say in sales and marketing, a reverse hockey stick. I don't even know what you would call that. But that's an amazing climb. And I think what's powerful about this particular artist is they're able to sustain that with touring. So album comes out, clearly a success, but these touring dates are just keeping this level sustained, and obviously if it drops, we can tell there's a problem. And so you almost can think of this as like a help me or a pulse of an artist. And so anytime I either show people for the first time Chartmetric, or if I'm interested in an artist or a friend's asking me how they're doing, this is the first place I go. I can see everything that's happening with this artist. If there's dips, what their rank is, if it's like really low. But we can tell a lot from this particular metric in Chartmetric. And this is literally a quick overview, but I think this is one of the most powerful things that we do. So I highly recommend to dig even deeper on the artist rank. And that's it, Mike.
Love it. Thank you so much for that, Kevin. That was a very quick overview, much quicker than I could do. So I appreciate that. And that actually leaves us with a nice amount of time for that Q&A that we promised as well. So as mentioned, if anyone has questions for the Chartmetric team, questions for our guest, Francisco Toscano, who is still backstage right now, please post them in the comments and we will be able to answer those for you. Now, I am going to also bring up on stage Michelle and Sung now as well. So as you can see, we are all here. We are ready to answer any questions that you have. And I'm just going to take a quick scroll through here to see what I can dig up. But in the meantime, Sung, Michelle, is there anything that you've had come your way that you'd like to speak to right now?
Yeah, just one quick comment about what's happening in Chartmetric. We are really busy these days in improving our product, making innovations in product, in UI, in engineering, in every part. So anytime while you're using Chartmetric, if you have feedback, just leave us a note. And we will listen to every opinion and think hard to see how we can make the product work better for you. We really enjoyed a couple trips this year, and like it's especially the one 2 weeks ago at South by Southwest. And we will, a lot of us will be in Nashville coming May. So if any one of you are coming to Music-Based Conference, we would love to meet you and interact with you and also listen.
Awesome. Thank you, Sung. And
that was actually Sung from Chartmetric. I'm CEO and founder. In case.
That was the most important part. We did. I think everyone knows who you are, but thank you for doing that intro at the end, Sung. I do see a few extra questions that have come in the chat. And Michelle, not to put you on the spot, but while I'm getting some of these questions ready, I was wondering if you could talk to the Make Music Equal initiative, and for anyone that's not familiar, how that came about and what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I think my share screen is funky like last time, so I'm not going to attempt that again. But basically, yeah, Make Music Equal is an initiative that we started at Chartmetric because we had a lot of requests where people wanted to measure diversity and equity in the music industry. So because our database does have a big focus on artists, we figured that we could look into this. And so this happened, this started about last year. And since then we have we formed a database of about 500,000 artists that we were able to identify their pronouns, the pronouns that they use publicly, how they wish to be referred, and from there give an idea of the diversity across the industry. And from the artist side, that is derived from artist bios, so it's the closest that we could get to something that an artist would say about themselves, because gender and pronouns can be a sensitive topic for people, and want to be respectful of that. So thank you, Mike, or whoever's sharing their screen. And so you can check out the data set on makemusicequal.chartmetric.com. You can download the data set and use it for yourself. We've had a lot of people combine it with other data that they have to do reports on different sectors of the industry as well. You can find out more about our methodology and why we're doing this on the website as well. What you can do, why does it matter? And this was kind of a first iteration. We've had a lot of feedback, a lot of people interested in using it. So we are also working to expand the data set from not just artists who have biographies in English, but also in other languages, like in Spanish and in Portuguese, so that we can have a truly diverse data set as well. So you can keep track of, you can keep track of what the stats look like in this section here. We have a tracker so that you can get an idea of what the data set looks like. And then if you want to go deeper, you can go back to that page Mike was on just now and download the file and combine it with anything else you have. But I would also stay tuned here. If you work on any projects with the data set, let us know. We'd love to share it as well. And I can't say what they are yet because they're not out, but there are a couple people working on reports with this data. Hopefully that will be out soon to give the industry a better idea of the direction that we're headed in.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. And that was actually Jason working the magic behind the scenes there to get the screen share up very quickly. So appreciate it. Thanks, Jason, as well. So a couple of questions that have come in during the webinar. The first one we had was, can you please link to Francisco's articles? Definitely. We've been posting links in the comments as well. So wherever you are watching, because we are live on multiple platforms right now, we've been posting links. If those links, for some reason, you can't click them, a quick Google search, Francisco Toscano Chartmetric blog, it should be the first search result as well. Now, we've got an interesting question that's come in here. And Sung, I'm going to put this one to you if that's okay. And as we can see, the question is, will there be any chance to see skip rates on various tracks on a specific playlist? Would be a great tool when I curate my own playlists.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We get this question a lot. Unfortunately, the answer is no. We don't have that level of data, the actual skip rates. But one possibility is, as more and more people link their Spotify for Artists account with us, we will have better and better insights of what's happening in playlists, Spotify playlists. So hopefully, since we have that feature available already, hopefully we have more insights for the playlist soon. Meanwhile, don't be disappointed because there is an update happening quite soon to add more columns to the playlist tracks table. More column meaning for each track we will show how many editorial playlist placements those tracks got in each platform, and also or how many TikTok videos were created, or how many Shazams happened with those tracks, and so forth. We can add more and more, but we also want to keep the UI simple. So hopefully, Power, even though it's not enough, I hope that can help you in curating your playlists.
Awesome. Thank you, Sung. And yeah, obviously skip rates are always going to be a hot topic. We always want things that we don't always see. It just makes us want them more when someone says, you can't have this. So completely understand. I may or may not be a bit of a playlist geek myself. So right there with you. And I'm just taking a bit more of a scan through the comments right now to see if there's any other questions that we can bring up. Kevin, Michelle, did you see any others come in that you would like to take personally? Not
actually,
take personally is weird wording. I mean, that you would like to take an answer.
All good. Actually, I think there was a question for Kevin about showing how to download, how a download file looks in a spreadsheet.
Good question.
We're going to make Kevin do a live download and open data into a spreadsheet. This is riveting. But just while Kevin is having a look at that, just so everyone is clear, for premium subscribers, there is an option with a lot of the data in Chartmetric to export what you see as a CSV. So you can take that, bring it into your own spreadsheet application as well, and run that alongside any other data you have. Some people take notes, some people do incredible things with that. So we do have that option available within Chartmetric. This question is wondering what those exports look like. So what we might do is we'll follow up with you offline after this, and we'll make sure that number one, you have access, and then we'll be able to show you those as well. And we can also, I should mention, we can do quick walkthroughs, a quick Zoom call, a quick demo with anyone that is interested as well.
Yep.
Excellent. It's okay, Kevin. We won't put you on the spot right now and make you share your desktop.
I'm working quickly over here.
All good. All good. And so, you know, I'm going to put it to everyone here, and this goes for everyone back in the green room as well. Is there any specific feature that you're most excited about? Obviously, that we can talk about. Is there anything that's captured your attention? I mean, for me personally, I'll go first just to kick it off. I really like the filter option on the artist list that we showed earlier in the webinar, that you can filter the 7.4 million artists that we currently have in Chartmetric. You can drill deep into artists by audience demographic. You can go by their followings on various social platforms, as well as their performance on streaming platforms. I've seen people use this to discover new artists. I've even seen people use this to discover influencers that are an artist themselves as well. So definitely worth mentioning that. And going to put it to all of you now as well. Sung, Kevin, Michelle, anyone backstage, if you've got anything to add.
I would say the brands page that we recently launched. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. That's my favorite for now.
Yeah, as far as the, a lot of what Chartmetric was built around was playlisting, and it's always overwhelming to think that we now track over 10 million playlists. And Mike and Michelle and I get on so many calls with a lot of you and trying to find the right playlist to get your music on. And the filtering that we've created is pretty amazing, to be able to filter by country and genre, follower count, to get to just the right playlist that you're looking for. So filtering is pretty amazing tool that we have for artists and playlists.
Someone mentioned A&R in the comments. Do you have a specific question about A&R, or generally, yeah, we have looked into the A&R dashboard. We've expanded the number of platforms that are available for A&R there. And I don't want to put any pressure on anyone, so I won't say too much, but we will look into improving that as well, of course. That's obviously a key area for the industry. And you can always use data to wade through the 7 million and more artists that are increasing every day. So that's something that we will look into. You can also use the filters on the artist list to do A&R, because on the A&R dashboard, it's a similar view for everyone, depending on the parameters that you include. So if you have your own background and experience that you can apply to the data, then you can go to the artist list and select specific filters for countries, for particular metrics, for release dates, and combine those to have your own view and maybe discover the next hit first.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. And Jason's just joined us as well. So we actually had a question that came in directly to our email. When we send out our email newsletter, we also ask people to send questions directly to us in advance of the webinar. So one of the questions that came in was, can you explain the expansion of the compare artists option, where you can compare up to 10 artists, and how we can best utilize that? And Jason, because you already had your screen ready, I kind of put you on the spot, and we're going to just quickly bring your screen up right now. If you wouldn't mind just giving us a quick update on the compare option.
Yeah, for sure. Francisco, if you're still there, if I can bring you up in a second, I'd love to have you here. But for now, for those who aren't familiar with this compare tool, frequently a use case that comes up with a lot of our customers is, hey, I'm comparing, a couple artists on a roster, or maybe this artist that I'm working with, and I want to track how they compare to, some other, similar artists that are out there. And that's what we made this tool for. So previously, you can only do 5 artists at a time. You can now do up to 10. But essentially, the idea here is, over time, which is like this horizontal line right here, how can I compare, various different data sources, whether it's YouTube channel views, whether it's TikTok likes, Pandora streams, and try to, gain some insight on the differences between these two artists. For now, I have this artist that Francisco brought up earlier in this live stream, Caleb Demasi. And so we're looking right now at his Chartmetric rank. So for those not familiar with that, that's something that we do just solely within Chartmetric. It's a combination of various metrics across streaming and social media platforms. And so over the past few weeks, this has been Demasi's ranking. But if I can stretch this out back to a year ago, I can also see that right here. So you see he was down for a little bit, but eventually probably around mid 2021 was when he kind of came to kind of his current stature and was there to stay. Francisco, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you, sir? Does that sound about right to you? About mid 2021 when Caleb Demasi kind of made a name for himself like he is today?
Yes, that's when Torraca Remix really blew up. And after that, Matatan came, and after that, Hace Calor came. As an artist gets bigger, it gets harder and harder to get up the ladder. So it really makes sense to me to see that kind of graph and that shape.
Yeah, makes sense. Is there someone that we can compare his work with to kind of take a better look at Toreo, that type of music we were talking about? I'm so putting you on the spot.
DJ Tao could be one.
What is
But
it?
it's not big.
DJ Tao, you said?
Uh-huh. He does the same kind of music. Then there's also another DJ called Alan Gomez, but I'm not completely certain that his stage name. So.
Oh wow, we got a lot. We got Alan Gomez's. Let's maybe see this first one.
Yeah, but DJ Tao, he's unique, and he's been doing interesting stuff on Torreo and with good numbers as well.
What platforms do you think are they most effective on, or you think would be the most interesting signals to look at?
Spotify, it's a really good one, and YouTube, of course.
Cool. So yeah, we're seeing some really interesting signals here on Spotify monthly listeners.
There are specific genres such as regional Mexican that are very strong on Apple Music, but that's and I've heard that in rap and trap and hip hop in the United States, it's also strong. But for this, Spotify is a good one.
Gotcha. Cool. And yeah, I mean, we can do this over time, but we can also do this by kind of rate of change, which is this dotted line that you see here. We can also do this by, maybe when their last milestone was. So for example, if they had a recent release, you can kind of toggle that here as well. But yeah, that kind of makes sense. It looks like a lot of stuff was happening. It was about September 2021 for Caleb Demasi. Looks like he put out another track around here.
Mm-hmm.
But right on. Oh, cool. So anyway, that's the artist comparison tool. Thanks, Francisco, for the impromptu chat on Torreo there. I appreciate it. Mike?
Awesome. Thanks for taking that. And I just had a look at the time as well. And I know we did say we will keep this to 1 hour. So with respect to everyone's time, we will wrap it up at this point. Thank you, Francisco Toscano, for joining us today, our very special guest, longtime friend. Easily one of the best dressed people in the business, and it's an honor to call you a friend.
Thank you, guys.
You always step it up.
Likewise, thank you for having me, and hopefully we do with more stuff together, interesting stuff, as always.
Absolutely, we appreciate you. And Jason, Kevin, Sung, Michelle, thank you so much. Rutger and Umang, who are backstage right now, thank you as well. And any last words from the rest of you before we press that big red button in the top right corner there?
Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thank you all. And I will stick around after this stream ends, and some of the team will. So if you've left comments, we will respond to those wherever you're watching this as well, so that nothing goes unanswered. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks again, Francisco. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.